It's about time, it's about time. Well, hello and welcome to this week's vlog. Now, thank you very much for all your wonderful questions. I shall get onto those in just a moment. But where am I with Take a Look at Me Now? Well, I'm still waiting to see the cover. That should be happening very, very soon. The advanced proof copies are at the printers, as far as I'm aware now, or in the next couple of weeks. And then those will go out to reviewers. So if you're a book blogger and you're on the list for Avon, you'll probably get one of those. If you subscribe to my newsletter, you will have seen a sneaky exclusive scene that comes in there. I'm planning to do some more of those. So sign up to my newsletter if you aren't already signed up, because you're going to be the first to see them. I hope that you enjoyed it, those of you who read it. I had some lovely messages. Thank you very much. So on to your questions. First question is from Anna Baker Barnes. Hi Anna, thank you very much for your question. Anna wants to know, can I use products or brands and actual places like restaurants in my stories? Well, I do. I tend to have a mixture. It depends on the character, it depends on the story. Sometimes it's useful to say a particular brand if it gives an impression of what a character would be like. I don't tend to put brands in just for the sake of it, and especially when it comes to things like clothing designers. I don't know an awful lot about it, so I tend to steer away from that. I have quoted actual places in my books, and where I do, you'll see a link to them in the acknowledgements at the front of the book. Occasionally that's happened. Sometimes I make up my own. So, for example, the diner that you're going to find in Take a Look at Me Now, Annie's Diner in Haight-Ashbury, which is in San Francisco, that's a made-up place, but it's kind of 3 or 4 different diners that Bob and I visited when we were out there. It's kind of like an amalgamation of those. But there's a new age shop which is underneath Lizzie's apartment, which is called Earth Song. That's actually a real shop. So if you were walking down walking through Haight-Ashbury, walking down Haight Street, you would actually find that there. And then the apartment above is where I set Lizzie's apartment. So it's kind of nice to have a bit of both. I think if you're a writer, you're a bit of a magpie and you tend to put those things in. So I hope that answers your question. Next question is from TopCat99 on Twitter. Hello, thank you very much for your question. Great question. When you read a book, are you able to enjoy like we do, or do you analyse style, words, structure, etc.? This is a very interesting question. I think as soon as you have to write stories for a living and you see how it's put together and you understand how it works, it's very, very easy to see the workings of a book. But for me, I think that's a test to see actually where the great stories are. Because if you're reading a great story, you don't sort of notice that. And I tend to read books, to be honest, a lot of books outside of my genre. And if there's a great story, I'll find that I'm halfway through it before I even realise kind of, I'm not really thinking, oh, the editor said this or the editor said that. For example, at the moment, I'm reading The Tower by Simon Toyne. It's the 3rd in the Sanctus trilogy. It's amazing. I really don't want it to stop because I've loved the trilogy all the way through. And it just goes at such a pace and it's so exciting and you get so wrapped up in all the characters that you aren't thinking, oh, I wonder if the editor suggested this, or I wonder if it was put in a certain way, or if it's been changed. I don't tend to think about it. So I think as long as there's a great story, then I can kind of switch off from it. I don't tend to read a lot of books kind of in the romantic comedy chick lit genre, particularly when I'm writing, because I can see the workings of that a lot more. I understand what editors are wanting to see. I understand the kind of things that publishers want to put in books. So it depends where I'm at in my writing year, but I think if it's a cracking story, you won't see the workings of it. So I hope that answers your question. And final question from Emily Glenister, who's one of my future stars. Hi Emily, thank you very much for your question. She says, do you have to have a finished manuscript before approaching agents? I've heard people doing it both ways. Personally, I would say get a manuscript finished just for you, because the moment you bring somebody else into it, whether that's an agent or a publisher, you're going to have somebody else's opinion on it, and I actually quite like the bit where it's just my story before anybody else gets a say. So personally, I would say get it finished, because I think then you know what your story's about. And very often, until you've finished a first draft, you don't actually know your characters very well and you don't know the plot lines very well. So it can work either way. I think if you have a great storyline and you really believe in it and you know you can deliver it, then maybe approach an agent. But personally, I would always finish a manuscript first, just because that's the fun bit. So I hope that answers your question. So there we go, short but sweet this week. What would you like to know about writing, publishing, books, anything else? Ask me a question and I'll answer it for you next week. Until then, take care and I'll see you soon. Bye.